this is just kind of a primer on inventing. If you've had an idea, if you've got a creative solution for inventing, this is just kind of give you a little bit of a taste on what it takes to be an inventor and some of the things that you can expect to find out about, how to avoid certain mistakes. A lot of people, when they think of an idea, they, where's that inspiration come from? Where do they get the idea for a great invention? A lot of people will come up with something that they think is a solution to, a beautiful thing. But what we try to recommend people do is to try to find a problem, not a solution. Find something that is a problem and try to solve that problem. That's going to give you a little bit better chance of finding a market for your invention. And the bigger the pain, the better. So there are only a few things that really motivate people. Nothing really motivates people like pain. So when you find the pain and you can offer a solution to it, you have a much better shot at being successful. Once you've figured out what your invention is and how you're going to solve somebody's pain, you need to figure out exactly what it is you're going to do, how to brush it up, how it's going to fit, how it's going to feel, what it's going to be like. And of course, an invention doesn't have to be a physical thing. It can be a software thing. It can be lots of other things. So you need to define what your solution is. Then you have to test your ideas. Make sure that it works. Make sure that the mouse is willing to go into your new mousetrap. And make sure that your idea is reasonable. You can talk with other people about it. We recommend that you first have them sign a non-disclosure agreement. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But don't spill the beans right away on what your secret sauce is in your invention. And then refine your solution. Make it better. Brush it up, clean it up. Figure out what the little things are that work and what you can make work a little bit better. And then always document your progress. Whatever you do, don't get into this mindset of, well, I'm going to jot it down on a piece of paper, I'm going to stick it in the mail, I'm going to mail it to myself, and then I'm protected. That does not work. That's a myth. If you do get a scientific journal with numbered pages, and you document your work, and you have somebody that understands what it is you're doing, notarize, and sign off, and date, and keep it in consecutive order on the numbered pages, that has successfully been used in court of law to establish that the origination date of your idea. But the mailing things to yourself does not work. So then we encourage people to really evaluate the market. Take a look at what it is that they're really getting into. First thing you can do is do a patent search. Make sure that somebody else hasn't already come up with your solution. There are a couple of great places you can go and do a patent search. USPTO.gov, the United States Patent and Trademark Office. They're great resources. You can search through all sorts of documents, I think dating back to 73, I think. They've got all of those online and quite a few more. And you can also go to Google/patents and do a Google search. Google search is actually really, really good. The advantage they have over the USPTO is the images come up in Google without having to add any extra apps. I think the Patent and Trademark Office wants you to download the application to open up stuff. Then go out and get an unbiased opinion of your idea. Don't ask your mother, don't ask your brother, don't ask your best friend. Don't take it to a marketing company, an invention submission company, and say, do you think this is a good idea? Because they're only going to tell you one thing. Yes, it's a great idea, let's get started. Your mom's not going to want to upset you, your friends are going to want to make you happy. Well, some of your friends are going to tell you it's crap, whether it's good or not. But get an unbiased opinion. So find somebody that you can just open up to and see whether or not it's something that has something behind it. Then try to identify the competition. If you're entering a market and your only competition is Microsoft or one of the really big players, that could be a little bit scary. Trying to steal market share from a big company can be a bit of a challenge. Of course, if you are truly better, a little bit more creative or innovative, and you can start taking dollars out of their pocket, your chances of being acquired are a little bit better too. So, but we have a lot of people that come into the Inventors Council and they say, oh, I've got a great new product, it's a great idea, there's no competition at all. Well, if it has no competition, there's probably a really good reason it doesn't have any competition. Either nobody is interested in it, or there are other factors that are fighting against it. So try to figure out what all that is. Then try to identify whether or not it's a profitable invention. We had one inventor that invented this really cool thing with pins, and she could put pins together and it held differently, and it was really a great idea. Unfortunately, for her to make back the money that she spent on getting it patented, she'd have to send millions of pins. And in order to sell millions of pins, you got marketing, you got a lot of development, a lot of pain. So try to make sure that you have an idea or an invention that has the chance of being profitable. Next slide. Okay.
Tampa Bay Inventors Council is a nonprofit. Been out here for 27 years. We've had several presidents. Wayne has been doing an excellent job for us.
Up until now.
Up until this got rosed up here. But
Open the wrong presentation.
we're inventors helping inventors. And invention is not strictly about patents. It also covers trademarks as well. Is another way, especially in the techie world that we're in today, of protecting some of the documentation that you're doing, as well as copywriting. So we'll get back onto the patent track of inventions.
Okay, well, appropriately titled Fools. Yeah, try to make sure that you're not running into a burning building. Is the thing. The main thing is don't quit your day job. A lot of people think that, oh, I've got this terrific idea, and I'm just going to apply all my energy to it, and I'm going to go full bore, and it's going to be terrific. You're still going to need to eat. You're still going to need to pay your rent. Don't quit your day job. Plan to do most of the work yourself. A lot of people think that they can come up with an idea, and there are resources where they can go and say, hey, I've got this great idea. Can you help me build it? Can you make all this sorts of stuff? Well, there are people that can build and can make all this stuff. They want money. So unless you're already really wealthy and you're ready to part with some of that green, plan to do most of the work yourself. You can, when you get to the point where you're getting ready to do a patent, make sure you've written it all out. Make sure you've provided clear documentation. Lawyers charge by the hour. The more they have to write, the more they're going to charge you. So as best as you can document it, that can save you hundreds of dollars. I'm not even in the right one. Is anybody bothered by this? Kind of creative. Okay. We'll say what it is. Big enough anyway. Nothing happens overnight. It takes time. So expect that you're going to be in the process for years. Don't think that I'm going to invent something and in 6 weeks I'm going to have some terrific product out in the market. I mean, there are the possibilities that it can go well for you, but the chances are pretty much against it. And that's the next step. The odds are against you. You're coming up with a creative idea, you're coming up with a new solution, and you're trying to convince people that they need to forget about using X and come on over and try Y. And they're going to say, why? So you have to convince them, and it's not going to be easy. But your idea is amazing, so keep going. Yeah, I can see where this is a problem. Okay, prototype. You can start with the very simple basics of building a prototype, baling wire, tin foil. I'm just going to go ahead and open this up.
And there again, you know, inventors helping inventors, you go in there and network and you'll get feedback on prototyping and
Yeah, we try to bring in people that that have some skills in prototyping. Yeah, I say the baling wire and tin foil. That's just to give you something in your hand, something you can hold, something you can feel, and so you can decide, you know, how it needs to fit and how it needs to feel. Another great tool for doing prototyping is Sculpey. Has anybody here used Sculpey? One Sculpey? Sculpey is kind of like a clay. You can form it, you can mold it into what you want, and then you throw it into the oven and bake it, and it gets nice and hard, and it gives you something that you can hold and you know, kind of do a little bit of modeling and a little bit of feel for it. So that's kind of a cool prototyping tool. Then you can move on and you can get involved in computer-aided design and CNC machines, and you know, spend some money on that. Getting somebody to write a CAD program or getting something milled and cut. But there's nothing quite like having that thing in your hand for you to make a decision on whether or not this is really the kind of thing that you want, you know, how you want it to fit and feel. And you want to really define these things before you head out to the market. Another great prototyping tool is stereolithography, or rapid prototyping. It's a really kind of a cool new technology. Basically what it is they take a 3D CAD design and they feed it into a printer. And instead of printing ink, it prints plastic. And so it prints layers and layers of plastic, and it builds up a form, and it creates a fully functional 3D model of whatever it is that your design is in. It can have moving parts, and it's really very cool. They're a little bit more fragile than, you know, anything that you're going to go to the market with, but at least it gives you something that you can really test and kind of work out the details and see whether or not that's what you want. And then you can move on to molds and injection molding and that sort of stuff. To try to get a mold for your invention, you're probably going to spend thousands of dollars, lots and lots of money, depending on the size and what it is exactly you're trying to do. There are mold kits, there are resources that you can use that can get you doing some minor molding pretty inexpensively as well. Then you want to protect your idea. I mentioned before the non-disclosure agreement. How many people are familiar with a non-disclosure agreement? Okay, most of them, right. Basically, it just says that you and the person that you name in the agreement are going to sit down and you're going to talk about X, and that the information that is talked about will be confidential and not to disclose. So it's a pretty convenient way without having any other kind of protection. You can just, we've got these on our website. Go to the section that says forums and download a non-disclosure agreement, customize it for the person that you're going to talk with. Yes, ma'am.
I hate to interrupt, but I've heard from several people that they don't really build up in Florida.
In Florida?
Is that true? Is there a reason to
That's
maybe. Maybe people are saying a lot of things. I just wanted to verify.
I've not heard that.
depends on the verbiage of the non-disclosure too.
Maybe what might be in
No, I'm sorry, I can't elaborate on it. I'm not an attorney. You know, ideally, you know, you would do this through an attorney. But for the lack of, you know, finances or time or whatever, you know, we do have non-disclosures on our website that you can use, you know.
Just try to make it cheap and easy. Anytime, I mean, even a patent has problems. I'll get into that a little bit too.
And certain investors won't sign them, you know, right? In certain angels and certain VCs, they may decide. I'm sorry, you know, we see million business plans all the time. You're gonna make me sign an NDA. I'm not interested.
No legitimate investor
Yeah.
will sign one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you find an investor that will sign one, they're not legitimate investor.
I mean, what do you mean? I guess you kind of have to get beyond it.
Well,
ahead, but I mean, how do you sort of exist in that
if
environment?
you're not trying to do a disclosure with a major corporation, they typically have their own non-disclosure forms.
Right.
So, you know, you just have to look through and make sure that you're okay with the verbiage in their form. And you know, there are bigger companies that say, I see a lot of this stuff and I'm not going to sign anything. Then you know, hopefully you've got some of the protection by the time you're getting ready to go to them. Non-disclosure form at this really at this stage, we're talking about, all right, well, I want to bring it out and I want to talk to you, and you know, try to do a little focus group and get your ideas, or maybe meet with a manufacturer and say, hey, I'm thinking about building this. That's really where I'm talking about on disclosure forms. You know, that's the main thing. Another thing to protect yourself with is a provisional patent application. There's no such thing as a provisional patent. Basically, it's a application that says you're going to apply for a patent. It sets the date. It gives you 1 year from when you sign on, and if you haven't filled out the full patent at that time, that date is abandoned. If you have not made a public disclosure, you can still patent your idea, but a provisional patent basically starts the clock and says, you know, put me on the record, this is my idea. Whenever you do a provisional patent, we recommend that you throw the kitchen sink at it. Everything that encompasses your idea, get it in your provisional patent, because when you go out and do your full patent, if it's not in the provisional patent, you don't get that date. So try to encompass everything. Now, nobody will ever look at your provisional patent unless you go through and do a full patent. But you will get a document number from the Patent Trademark Office. And by filing a provisional patent, it gives you the legal right to say patent pending on your idea. So that way you can go to businesses and say, here is my patent pending idea, and you know, that puts them on notice that you know, hopefully they're going to be a little bit more respectful of your intellectual property. Now, there are other vehicles for protection.
Could I interject? Actually, as part of a question, is it not true that when you're filing for a patent pending, you really should do a lot of due diligence on other existing inventions with patents, so that,
Sure.
Yeah, because the crossover on that, I see a lot of people,
Yeah.
heartache is a big thing after
That's why
they've submitted.
I have patent search on there.
Yeah, there you go.
Do a patent search and make sure that, you know, try to define what your niche is, what your invention. To get a patent, it must be unique, novel, non-obvious, and useful. So sometimes that useful thing really bites you. A couple of things on copyrights, trademarks, patents, and trade secrets. Copyrights protect works of literature and music and that sorts of things. Trademarks basically protect logos, branding, that kind of identification. Patents are really what we're talking about as far as protecting inventions. You can also protect your invention with a trade secret. Trade secrets actually last forever as long as you keep it secret. I did not okay, yeah, avoid the transposition there. Anyway, so really we're talking about patents. And there are basically three types of patents. There's a utility patent, there's a design patent, and a plant patent. Utility patent is basically encompasses what it is that you've done, how it works, all the physical details of what it is that goes into making that patent. A design patent is more how it looks, what the fit and feel is, and unfortunately, a design patent can be circumvented by changing minor details. Utility patent is generally a lot stronger, and then plant patent is when you have crossbred a particular rose or something, you know, in the animal kingdom or plant kingdom. All patents are good for up to 20 years. I say up to because you are required to pay maintenance fees over the course of the patent. You pay a maintenance fee at 3.5 years, at 7 years, and at 11.5 years. The fees are increased over the length of the patent, and so at 11.5 years, it's up around $2,000. So, but hopefully you're making some money on your idea by then. They do that. The patent office is actually the only department in the federal government that makes money, that actually pays for itself. And unfortunately, the other branches of the government found out about that, and they said, well, we could use some of that money over here. And so they've taken a lot of that money away from the patent office, and the patent office has not been able to expand and develop and grow as much as it should have. All patents are expensive wallpaper. They're real pretty, they're nice, but if you're not into buying expensive wallpaper, you might want to consider whether or not you really want to spend $5,000 or more on getting a patent. They are your right to prevent somebody from doing something. They are not your right to do something. If you invented a headrest for this chair, that does not give you the right to build a chair with a headrest. Somebody else already owns the patent for the chair, and they can say, no, you can't do that. But likewise, the person that owns the patent for the chair can't put a headrest on it because you say, aha, that's my patent, you can't do that. It's your right to prevent, it's not your right to actually do something. And then you have to suffer in court if you really want to fight it, and that could be a long discussion in itself. Patents are a long wait. Because the federal government has taken money away from the patent office, and the patent office hasn't expanded the way it should have, there aren't as many patent agent or patent inspectors, and so patents can take anywhere from 18 months up to 5 years for it to be filed. So expect that it might take some time. Invention strategy. You could try to be the first one to the market. Get your idea out there, get something developed, and hit the market strong. And if you've got good branding, a good name identification, then there's a pretty good shot at making a successful run at it. So you can try to be first to the market. You can try to license your invention. If you do want to try licensing, you're probably going to need to have the intellectual property secured. So you're going to need a patent in order to try to bring it to the market with licensing. Likewise, if you've got a patent, you can try to sell the IP outright. We had a little discussion earlier. So that's ways that you can try to monetize on your invention. Then, of course, the fun begins. The manufacturing, the marketing, and the selling, and I'm sure there are other sessions here at Barcamp discussing some of those aspects. That's pretty much it for just a quick primer on inventing. Sort of a public service announcement. You see these little divots in your yard, in your garden, and stuff like that? It's basically an inverted triangle that goes down into the ground with fine sand. Well, those are really the home of the antlion. Yes. And the antlion, that's the larva stage. He sits down in the bottom, and the ant falls down the little divot there and gets eaten up by the antlion. So, when you see these little divots, don't brush them over. Don't plow them over. These are our friends. These are our allies in our never-ending battle with ants. That's it.